So Brian Griffin, the family dog in Family Guy, has been killed off. Oh well. But before we get to this video, here's the question of the day. Alright, so if you guys are familiar with a little TV show called Family Guy, they killed off Brian. That's right, Brian Griffin, Brian the talking dog, Brian, one of the major characters, and probably one of the more interesting characters in that entire series, because he represented, a level head. He was the level-headed dog, he was very well-spoken, and I guess his voice was the regular Seth MacFarlane voice, and that's one of my favorite characters, I think. I thought he was just a really likable character. He wasn't like this super hyper-charismatic character, but I thought Brian was, again, the level-headed character, and he provided a good foil for other characters like Stewie and Peter, of course. And it's he was killed off basically in the episode of Life of Brian, which was the 12th season. I believe it was, 216th episode. He was killed off just a couple of days ago, November 24th, 2013. And ultimately he was replaced by another dog, another talking dog named Vinny, which is kind of strange. I actually saw clips of the Vinny dog, I looked it up on YouTube, and he just didn't seem like a funny character. It wasn't actually impressive, it wasn't anything interesting. I actually didn't like it. It seemed like a generic, sort of, kind of a stereotypical New Yorker, Italian, pseudo-mafioso type of voice. Because the voice actor is Tony Sirico. And yeah, he's got sort of like this Italian kind of thing going on. This, not Yonkers, but like this New York kind of thing. And, I don't know. I'm just not impressed by the Vinny dog. I don't think he's that funny. I don't think it's that humorous. He didn't come across as a very comical character. And to replace him with another talking dog is just kind of... It's sort of a cop-out, It's kind of like, oh, well, we've had like 12 years of Brian, or how many years is that? Yeah, just like a good run with this particular character. And then you basically get rid of him, which is, don't get it twisted, the reason they got rid of Brian was for the views, for ratings, to incite some interest in the show, because, I mean, if you're running for that many years, if you're a long-running show, I don't care what show you are, I don't care how amazing you used to be, you're gonna fall off, you're gonna jump the shark. And this might be one of those moments where people say, oh, Family Guy jumped the shark, they killed off a mainstay character and then they replaced it with a different character. But the reality is that I think Family Guy stopped being good, or stopped being a funny show many years ago. It lost its quality, it just isn't the same show it used to be. I remember being, I was like, 11? 12 years old, around the time when Family Guy started in early 1999, and I thought it was hilarious. Its first couple of seasons was so funny. I was cracking up. It was something I've never seen before, where it was a lot of jokes, a lot of like weird references. It was a lot of flashback humor, and that was very funny for its time. It felt different from The Simpsons. It felt a bit more edgy compared to The Simpsons, even though it was a bit more nonsensical. It was very joke, punchline driven, it was just a lot of joke type stuff. But after a while, and then they got canceled, and then the fans were like, oh, please bring it back. The DVD sales came in, and then Fox were impressed, and they were like, okay, well, let's bring this back because it was making money. So they brought back Family Guy. It wasn't the same when they brought it back, early 2000s. And then by, like, 2005, I think the show was it just wasn't as funny anymore. A lot of the running gags that they had was redundant and hackneyed and repetitive. We've all heard complaints. Peter fighting the chicken, stupid shit like that. Repetitive, stupid things, like they would just repeat the same phrases over and over again. Whether somebody laughing over and over again, or somebody saying a catchphrase continuously in the episode. Flashbacks that just, it became so hackneyed, it became so predictable that they would even make fun of the fact that they had flashbacks. And Family Guy used to be a funny show. It was one of my favorite cartoons in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then it stopped kind of being as good as it used to be. It wasn't even really that funny anymore, and then I just kind of lost touch with Family Guy anyway. It's been years since I've seen Family Guy. But because Brian was killed off, now it's like, oh shit, like they actually killed off a major character. I don't even know, man. I mean, I guess it sort of makes sense that he gets run over by a car and they have to replace him with a new one. I mean, I guess for the sake of pseudo, not even realistic, but it's just kind of like thematically, it's a dog, and then dog ears aren't that long anyway, so okay, let's get rid of the dog. It's a ratings grab, it's a money grab, because this will temporarily, I'm sure, boost the ratings a little bit, because of they want to see like the show without Brian. I guess people are curious, but I don't care anymore. Like, I don't think anybody gives a shit, really. Like, after this season, it's... Family Guy is just finished. This show is done. It had a pretty good run, It was probably one of the most highest rated mature cartoons in the past 20 years. I mean, The Simpsons definitely is, Simpsons and South Park, but Family Guy had a pretty good run. It was definitely one of the... became a big franchise. I just... it's finished, I don't care anymore. I don't even, like, give a shit. Like, okay, they killed off Brian. They could have killed off anybody. Lois. Even Peter himself, and replace him with somebody else. A lot of people are saying, oh, it should have been Meg, it should have been Meg. Really? I don't give a fuck about Meg either. I don't know. And they're scheduled to bring back Brian anyway, later in the season, so it's like he's going to be back in some way or another, maybe in a flashback, maybe as a ghost, I don't know. I guess that's it. I mean, Family Guy, it doesn't matter, it's like Brian is gone. He was really like half and half. The show began as a pilot back in the mid-90s, before he was even Family Guy, before there was Peter, before there was Brian. It was just this old guy and his dog. The way that Seth MacFarlane had an idea to begin with was that there's an old man and a dog, a talking dog, and then they would just hang out like they're buddies, friends. And that was the main premise of the show. And then they would have all these jokes. They would go to the movie theaters and make fun of, like, movies. And it was just... I don't know. It's... Family Guy is just... If you're still watching Family Guy, I guess that's good for you. But this show hasn't been good. It's like The Simpsons. The Simpsons stopped being funny. It lost a lot of its quality because the writing started to suck. Family Guy was the same way. They just kept focusing on the same gags. The same jokes, the same material. It's just hackneyed stuff. I don't even know what's the next cartoon must-watch show anymore. Like, I don't even know what's the next family-oriented late-night cartoon show. Or not even, like, primetime cartoon show. I don't even know what it is anymore. American Dad was okay. Cleveland Show was meh. And here's the answer to the question of the day.